Hello and welcome to the Undead Gaming News Podcast, your one-stop shop for all things gaming. I'm your host, Zombie, and joining me is my co-host, Litchi.
Hello.
First story comes from Sony facing backlash from indie developers, as a thread was started from the CEO of Neon Doctrine, who are the developers of Simulacra, if you've ever heard of that game. He started off on Twitter by saying that he's mad enough to burn some bridges because honestly, what's the point of a bridge that he's not allowed to cross? Here's a thread about Platform X. I will not be defining Platform X, but it's the operator of a very successful console and does not have Game Pass. Platform X gives developers no ability to manage their games in order to get promotion. You must jump through hoops, beg and plead for any level of promotion. And a blog is not as good as they think it is. Platform X doesn't like your game. No fanfare, no feature, no love. There is nothing you can do to fix this. Wishlists have no effect, so all your personal marketing means nothing to Platform X. All that matters is their evaluation. How is this evaluation done? Dunno. They don't share that. Nor will they share the value they ascribe to my game. So before you launch, you need to develop the game for Platform X, get through their incredibly difficult lot check spread over 3 generations of back-end software, submit Platform X specific trailer, write a Platform X blog, submit multiple forms for social media. The thread goes on for quite a while, so I'll leave a link to the rest of it because it is very long. But that's the basic synopsis of where this all started from.
What can I say? Are we allowed to divulge who the platform is?
Well, he didn't specify, obviously, but a lot of other indie developers chipped in talking about PlayStation specifically, because that's what they derived from his thread, that's who he was talking about. But obviously he didn't state it himself.
He could have been talking about Nintendo. Nintendo is sometimes a bit finicky.
Possibly.
But if it matches, obviously, PlayStation's agenda. But the thing is, Sony apparently requests 25 grand from a developer before that. Obviously, they have to jump through the hoops that you just mentioned to get it on the store. Then, if they want Sony to say something about it, it's got to be you got to pay 25 grand to get it actually featured. Like, look, new game, come check this out. Which, from obviously a business standpoint, I kind of agree with Sony. I don't agree with the 25 grand cost. But them generally feature big names, which can obviously afford the cost. But they generally feature big names because that's what makes them the most money. It would be a bad business decision to start advertising these indie developers that would not make them as much money. So Sony as a business, obviously, completely fine to do obviously what they're doing. Sony as a company in the gaming industry, or if they want to be humanitarian, they could help the little guy, but obviously there's no monetary incentive to do so, but helping the little guy could give them good exposure, so
I think a good addition to the featured page would actually be an indie specific section, so only indie developers can be put there.
They do have an indie section.
But it's not really the front of the featured page though, that's my point. Whenever you go on the featured page, it's big names, big brands.
And sales.
AAA games. And then sales. But I'm saying you should have a section right at the beginning that's indie developers. You can go in there and have a look at all the different indie games. That'll help them out.
First page you go on to, maybe not the first page, we obviously go on to start, it goes, support new developers. Here's your independent company of the week, or here's some indie titles. But then obviously, then the user would probably complain that would obviously be the first thing that they find when they open it up.
On the featured page on the console specifically, I know that they have like a big block that's a big game, and then they have little small blocks next to it.
Mm-hmm.
And one of those small blocks could be an indie section.
I'm sure sometimes it is. I'm sure I've seen some indie titles on there before.
Yeah, but I mean, a specific indie section that's permanent, and you click onto that and you can see all the different indie games, the latest indie games and all that kind of stuff, rather than a temporary, this is the newest one that's been able to afford the 25 grand.
Or just maybe reduce the cost of 25 grand to get featured. It's a bit much.
It is, yeah, they should reduce that anyway, but I still think they should have that little extra section.
How about $5,000? Or $1,000? How about just $100? I give you $100, you put me featured.
How about 50?
I think you're probably pushing it with 50.
I think you're pushing it with 100.
Well, I mean, obviously Sony still has to get something out of the transaction.
They're getting paid.
Yeah, but, I mean, to be fair, would you rather have $100 or $50?
Well, obviously $100. But they're obviously asking $25,000. And then obviously they get 30% of the profits of whatever that game makes as well, so...
But yeah, obviously, Ian Gardner was not the only one who actually said anything about this. He was obviously more tactful about it by not actually specifying it was PlayStation. But like we previously mentioned, other people have jumped in on this. Do we know what companies the other people are from? Or are these just consumers?
The bigger tweets were from actual game developers, but I don't know which companies they represent.
Right, okay. Let's throw Matthew White under the bus, who he throws his hat in, but he does also say he's a former PlayStation former Platform X employee, but apparently they don't have any say on what goes on. I don't know. So I guess just the higher ups obviously get say on what goes on the platform.
That's usually how it works.
Yeah, but I don't know what department the guy was from, as to what obviously authority he had to make any changes. Because generally you don't just have only the top guys able to make the changes, because they can't be everywhere at once. They've got to delegate to obviously people who know what they're doing in those specific areas. But he says 3% of the sales as the company are not even on the PlayStation. Our next story is that, like we said we would, the state of play has now actually happened, and the games announced at the state of play were Moss Book 2, which was probably more kid-friendly than obviously what we would probably normally play, but it has cute. I've not played the first one. I think I've probably looked at their page for that game multiple times on Steam, just never actually bought it. Because it's I don't know, it's a cute character. It looks very reminiscent of games I used to play when I was a kid, but I don't know that if I would really play something like that nowadays. Next up is a shooter called Arcageddon. So, from what I could tell, it appears to be it's kind of similar to your standard your death matches and stuff, but in it's like Tron meets the traditional deathmatch thing. It's like a cyber world. Basically, you just kill each other. They're probably for fun party game to play with friends. The next game was Tribes of Midgard, which for the second week of a row we've got another Diablo-esque dungeon crawler type game, but this time it's set in Norse mythology, and obviously this one has you have different classes. I guess you got your traditional your archer, you got your swordsman tank guy. I just think Vikings, and then just traditional RPG classes. You got that kind of thing, and I think you have possibly your home base is your village, so you're all members of a tribe. Obviously, I presume your group is literally just you and any friends you have. Otherwise, you'd be the lone warriors leaving the tribe, and they're the ones who've got to fight all the battles. Next, there's Fist, which stands for Forged in Shadow Torch, which is a sci-fi-esque kind of steampunk platforming game with a twist. Everybody is anthropomorphic animals. Then there is what they described as a fighting game meets battle royale. Personally, watching it, I get the sense that it looks very similar to something like Smite, but then it doesn't have two teams going at each other. But yeah, it's basically like an RPG, just fight monsters, but there's no actual RPG elements, like, as far as I'm aware, the only, like, customization you get is, like, different cosmetics. And so you fight monsters, and and then there's, like, world PvP, so, and any player could just casually kill you while you're grinding out these monsters. I don't know. There wasn't really a lot shown. Then, there was a game that was very confusing, called Sifu, or Sifu Fight Club. Basically, it's an entire trailer of a guy using Kung Fu to beat the hell out of, like, anyone and everyone, and I don't know why, no motivation whatsoever, and furthermore, to add to the confusion, every time he gets knocked out, he ages. I'm not entirely sure how that mechanic is going to work. Like, obviously, to a point when you actually age, your body does get stronger and stronger until a point, and then it starts to get weaker. Am I going to then be playing this game and then I'm going to, like, become an old man, so I'm not as effective? So I've got to do the game in as least life as possible, so that I don't become an old man? I don't know. Next up, there was Jet the Far Shore, which I thought was very, very reminiscent of Journey, if you ever played that, but it's Journey in space. Just flying across planets, pretty chill game, but then also you also go into the mind of your explorer, and I'm not entirely sure, like, how that works. It looks like maybe that's possibly could be, like, you've got to combat this nightmare monster thing. So they've had combat to the game to, like, break up the sections of, obviously, the long, calm flight through the planet. But then there's enemies also attack you, and it says you got to use everything in your arsenal, but then it didn't tell me what was in my arsenal to be able to prevent these enemies. Does it mean just, like, I, like, fly super fast to get away from them, or do I have guns, or what? Next, they moved on to a mini Sega showcase, which they had a game which appears to be, like, set in the Demon Slayer universe. Demon Slayer Kimotetsu no Yabi. The Hinokami Chronicles. And I'm sure you can tell, based on me butchering that, I've never seen Demon Slayer. So I can't really tell you much about the game. There's some characters that I don't know in the trailer. They're fighting demons. Maybe another kind of beat-em-up style game. Or maybe you track down this demon, you kill them, and then, because I've never seen the show, I have no idea what the hell you do with its head. Because they cut the guy's head off, and I have no idea what they're doing with it. Then, they also, from the Yakuza developer, who also made a probably little smaller kind of like side game to the Yakuza series called Judgment. For what they showed at State of Play, I suspect is a sequel to that game. In that obviously in the Yakuza series you play as Kiryu Kazuma, a former Yakuza enforcer. Whereas in this, I believe you play as a former detective. He's no longer in the department. He's a former cop. He sets up his own detective agency, and then you solve crimes. You beat the hell out of people. It's Yakuza, but you're a cop. And then obviously this seems like a sequel, and I think somebody's been murdered. You're hired to find out who it was. But if it's anything like Yakuza, get ready for a pretty emotional story. Next up, we had Death Stranding Director's Cut, and I'm going to let Zombie take over from here.
The Death Stranding Director's Cut, which will be launching in September on the 24th, is graphical upgrade from the original Death Stranding. They've now got 4K graphics, and obviously the frame rate has been boosted as well. Within the director's cut, they're adding additional content, such as racing is now a thing. They've added a shooting range, which I think will probably have some challenges and stuff to do in there. They've added new story content, and they've got new monsters to fight and everything. There's new delivery equipment, including a little robot that you can have run around with you to carry stuff. And I think the upgrade from your standard edition to the director's cut will be around $9.99.
So it's not free?
No, because it's extra stuff, so you're paying for the extra stuff.
Okay.
And if you don't have Death Stranding already and you want to buy the director's cut, you can pre-order now, I think, for around £50, and you'll get the standard version of Death Stranding to play right now, and then you can transfer your save file when the director's cut version becomes available, so you can continue on there.
And then also at the state of play, we got 9 minutes worth of gameplay for Deathloop.
What was your impression of Deathloop?
Oh no, it's okay. I don't like the concept of having to, obviously, it's going to be another, stealth game like the Dishonored series that they made. But at least in the Dishonored series, you could plan your attack to be able to get through somewhere, without anyone noticing you. But this, you've got the added pressure of there's also another assassin hunting you, which has now been revealed that it can be controlled by another player.
Yes, but it could also be AI as well. Depends on if you're online or offline.
Yeah, let's definitely, if it's a player, it could definitely screw up your strategy on how to take down the target, because you could be doing something very carefully and then just suddenly get clipped from across the map by the sniper.
But I do think there is a tell that, like a chime or something, that tells you that you're being hunted. So you're not always being hunted.
Yeah, partway through the level, that's when the sniper will be summoned, and then she will then be hunting you, and for some reason it's also on your comms channel, so your character will have a conversation with them.
Yeah, I did find that a little bit strange.
Yeah, they're definitely going more with the hitman thing in terms of the kills. It's not as simple as just, oh, I'll just stab this guy, oh, shoot this guy. They have more inventive ways of getting rid of the target. Example, the one shown is, I think they drop him into a pit, whereas in previous titles, in Dishonored, there were two ways you could deal with a target. Obviously, there's the non-lethal or there's the lethal way. But the lethal way, as a general rule of thumb, was just you basically, actually generally it was just be cutting their head off.
Well, there was also a target you could poison at one point.
Yes. You can also, the first target you can poison. You can poison one or two of the glasses. You can if you poison one,
or you can just knock them over.
Well, you can knock them over and then you can cut them up if you want. But that's not very stealthy.
Yeah, just saying it's an option.
Well, on my first playthrough, I think that's the only target I killed, I think. Because I didn't know killing the target was a problem in a game about killing people.
Yeah, I think I killed everyone. And I think even in that mission I poisoned both the glasses.
I didn't. I poisoned one. I poisoned one glass. So I saved the maid's uncle. Saved him. Killed the target. The mission itself could have probably gone better. Because I literally sprinted out of the area. And then you just have guards going, there he is, get him. Because as soon as they die, for some reason, the guards are then suddenly on high alert. It's how do you know? The only other person in the room is the lass's uncle. How on earth are you saying he ratted me out? I saved his life and he's ratted me out? I don't think so. But yeah, with Deathloop, I think you are supposed to kill the target.
Yeah, you need to identify a target and kill them, whilst also trying to avoid being killed yourself.
Yeah, so no non-lethal kills. Don't use your weapons for what they're useful for. I mean, you could. There's probably going to be like achievements and stuff for doing it without killing people that aren't the target. But from what I can see, there is no way to non-lethally take out your targets, because you've got to take out your target to be able to end the loop, which obviously, at the moment, I have no idea how that works, but obviously we'll find out at a later date.
Well, it's just whenever you die, you reset the day.
Yes, but why? And why does killing the targets take you out of the loop?
Well, that part I don't know. But obviously, they've not really revealed that part of the story, so... Lots of murder in order to break a time loop is essentially the aim of the game.
Well, specific murders.
Yeah, but there's a lot of targets.
Yeah, just going on a killing rampage obviously won't do it.
No. You need to make sure certain people are dead. I think there's 8 targets in total.
That's a pretty short game, but then again, I think Dishonored only had, 4 or 5? If you count the 2 twins as one target, it was one mission. Yeah, there was only 4 targets in the actual base game. There were some missions where there wasn't a target and you had a different objective, like kidnapping. Was he called Anthony?
I don't remember, it's been many years.
Anthony Sokolov or something? You got to kidnap him. I don't know that Dirge was one of the actual targets that he was supposed to be after, but you come into contact with him. Dirge is obviously, he's from the DLCs. He gets more fleshed out in the DLCs. You literally see him right at the beginning of the game, and in that one cutscene, all you know is he's the reason you are a wanted man, and then you finally get to confront him on a boat. I believe I killed him too.
Well, as I said, when I played through it, I killed everyone, so...
A lot of rats in your game.
Yes.
I think the worst part of that was that on the final mission, you've been a dick. You've been a dick all this time. So then, Samuel alerts all of the guards for the final mission, and I don't want to do it because honestly, the way apparently you can make it so he doesn't do that is to, just as you get to the shore, you chop his head off. Okay, alert the guards if you do that, but I don't have a problem with Samuel. Yes, he's a bit of a dick in that moment where he's like, "Oh, you've come to save the princess. I'll make sure all the guards know that you're here." It's like, the hell, Sam? So what's next?
Bluepoint have changed their Twitter bio to fully independent. Obviously, they've done that after the surge of people talking about them being acquired by Sony because of the mistake that the Japanese Twitter put out when they were supposed to be putting out that they've acquired Housemarque, but instead they put out one that said that they've acquired Bluepoint. While it's still unconfirmed officially that Bluepoint's been acquired, they've decided to put fully independent in their bio. Of course, at some point down the line, I'm sure that they'll be acquired officially, and they'll have to change it.
I don't know. Because obviously, on the one hand, it's a bit weird for PlayStation to be have a picture ready for welcoming them into the family, but then it's also then weird if that's not the case, to be able to say that, oh, we're completely independent. Well, that would imply you've got no contract or anything with any of the companies, so any company, if they wanted to, could just casually come buy you out. So, what did they tell PlayStation? Yeah, you can buy into our company, but then pull out of the deal? What's going on here?
Well, I think that they're probably in the good end of making the deal official, but they haven't finished it yet, which is why they made the Welcome to the Family for Bluepoint, because they were getting ready for that stage, but they haven't made it to that stage yet, and then obviously the mistake that the Twitter account made ended up releasing that picture.
Guess we'll find out what's going on.
Yes.
Maybe have some more news on that same story next week. Be our weekly segment.
We'll update you as things go. And staying in Sony news, we have Ghost of Tsushima's director's cut again, because a lot of people are very annoyed with the pricing system that they've got, because they want to charge $19.99 for the PS4 upgrade and $29.99 for the PS5 upgrade from the standard edition of Ghost of Tsushima to the Director's Cut version. And if you buy the Director's Cut on PS4, then they want to charge an extra $9.99 if you want to upgrade that to the PS5 version. So, people are very clearly not happy about that.
Wait, so what am I getting with the... I have it on PS4.
Okay.
Did it come out before the PS5?
Yes.
I had it on PS4.
Okay.
So what, I'd have to pay $20 to be able to make it the Director's Cut. What am I getting for my $20? Just the new DLC?
You're getting Ikushima Island, yes, and that will be available after Act 2 of the story. And it's also inputting the correct version of the lip sync for the Japanese dubbing as well, so that it doesn't look weird anymore if you want to listen to the Japanese version.
Okay, that should be a free update. Carry on.
That's just within the Director's Cut.
So, what you're telling me is they're charging £20 for a DLC and something that obviously should be in a free update.
Well, it's $20. No UK price has been set yet, but yeah.
But then if I want to...
And that's only if you want the PS4 version of the game.
Yeah, so wait, so if I'm getting...
If you wanted to upgrade to the PS5 version, it'd be $29.99.
Yeah, this is garbage.
Yeah.
Just no.
Understandably, people are very annoyed with this. I think at most you should have $9.99 upgrade for the DLC component, and that's it. And I think if you buy the PS4 version of the Director's Cut, you should be able to upgrade to the PS5 version for free.
I think to reduce the cost of the upgrade to the Director's Cut, I'll maybe give you I'll give you at a push I'll give you a $5 for it. This new DLC better be really expansive.
Well, it's an entirely new island, so...
Yeah, but DLCs don't tend to be as long as the base game.
Unless they're made by CD Projekt Red.
Which this isn't.
I know. But they're an example of making DLCs that are very long.
I mean, that's not... I don't know, sometimes. I've played... Well, obviously they're the makers of the Witcher games.
Yes.
You know, in case anyone out there didn't already know that. I've played through the series, but the first DLC for the third game, I didn't think was very long. It's like 2-3 missions, and then it had a ruin crafting thing. I don't know if you can I can't remember if you do craft runic armor or there's a ruin something. There's something to do with ruins system. That was a pretty small DLC. But I never the blood and wine DLC on the other hand, I still haven't finished.
I have.
Yeah, that one I think is a lot longer.
It is very long, but it's good.
Yeah, so but then what would you say you would pay $20 for that?
Not 20, no.
I'm at 15.
Maybe a push.
So what we're saying is this new DLC for Ghost of Tsushima needs to be a lot bigger and more expansive than the Blood and Wine DLC for Witcher 3. If they actually want to charge $20 for it. Yeah.
Well, that's $20 for the PS4 version of it. It's $30 for the PS5 version of it.
Yes, yeah, the $10 upgrade price, which I mean, most companies just give you a free upgrade to the PS5 version because why not?
Yeah, I've not had any issue with any games so far with transferring from PS4 to PS5. It's always been a free upgrade.
Yeah, the only other one obviously being Control, and people were not happy about that either.
Yes, but then again, the Control Ultimate Edition was given away for free for PS Plus members at one point earlier on in the year, as well as the standard for the PS4 at the same time.
It was not.
Yes, it was.
Are we sure?
I have both, so yes.
And I think I already own the game, so I wasn't allowed to get it.
Well, I bought the game on disc, and then they had that story where they had a lot of people slamming them because of their choice to only upgrade the Ultimate Edition from PS4 to PS5 rather than the standard as well. And then a few months later, the standard edition was available for free for PlayStation Plus members on the PS4, and the Ultimate Edition was available for free on the PS5.
Wait, what was available on PS4?
The standard edition of Control.
So the one that can't be upgraded anyway?
Yeah, but they was also giving away the Ultimate Edition at the same time for free for the PS5.
That doesn't really solve the problem.
I'm just saying that's what they did.
Because I have the game. I have all the DLC and stuff for it. So I basically have the Ultimate Edition. It's just not called Ultimate Edition, so I can't have the free upgrade.
Yeah.
And that is ridiculous.
But in other news, a new Switch has been announced, and people are not happy about it. Because everyone wanted a Switch Pro, and instead they got a Switch OLED. It just features a slightly bigger screen that's an OLED screen that's only capable of 1080p.
As opposed to the current screen, which is 720.
Yes, although standard OLED screens are capable of 4K, but obviously not for this Switch, just 1080.
Yeah, that's because the actual specifications are basically the same as the normal one.
Yes, it needs more processing power.
Yeah, all your processors and stuff are exactly the same. The differences between the two versions are literally like a screen that is 0.8 inches bigger, but which can do 1080. If you play obviously on the handheld, that makes a difference. But if you play on obviously on your 1080 screen, you're already playing it in 1080 anyway.
Yeah.
But then it does have double the storage capacity for the internal memory. But again, you can get SD cards to put into it that would be the same amount of obviously storage space that you were getting, and it'd be a lot cheaper. The only other addition was that they now, because of its slightly bulkier size, they now managed to fit an Ethernet port onto it. So obviously you get a more direct connection to that internet. So that maybe that'll give you the edge in that Smash tournament.
The stand is also a bit more flexible as well.
What do you mean? As in physically flexible, I can bend it.
It's more adjustable. That's all it says. It's just a bit more adjustable.
Can you not take the Joy-Cons off a new one?
Well, of course you can, but I'm not on about the Joy-Cons.
Well, then I'm not entirely sure how it differs in adjustability, because that's literally the only that's the only adjustability there is on the Switch. Is you can change your Joy-Cons out, and I think it has a stand.
Yeah, I'm on about the stand specifically. You're able to bend it more. They also have a black and white version now instead of the red and blue.
Oh no, they have a red and blue.
Yes, I'm saying they also have a black and white version instead of just red and blue. So if you want a black and white version instead of red and blue, then you can buy the black and white version. But people are up in arms over that one, because it's not the Switch they wanted.
Yeah.
Because everyone wants more processing power for the Switch, from what I can gather.
Yeah, they definitely want better processing power from a Switch, which is not exactly Nintendo's strong suit. Their processing never appears to be like their focus. They want to innovate the gaming industry. They do not want to be like everyone else and stick with what they know and just improve on what they know. They want to like, ooh, what is the new thing I could do? Like, example, I mean, they had I don't know that there's many games like it, but there was a Mario a few months ago. There was a Mario game that was announced, and it's completely played in augmented reality, not virtual reality, but augmented reality, which obviously required you to. It's a Mario Kart game, but you've basically got to have a big room to be able to make a big track. So you're like, in the real world, you've got obviously these cars are going around this track, and then obviously on the screen you get to see obviously the virtual characters going around your track. Well, yeah, Nintendo innovation, but not necessarily like building on what's improving, obviously what they already have. They're always looking for the next big thing.
Yeah, but they should also make sure that they have the processing power to back it up.
But I mean, to be fair, what handheld can you think of that has the decent processing power enough that they can play games as well as like an actual console?
I don't know. I don't think there is one.
I mean, obviously I have a portable. I have a laptop, but I am not like pulling out my bloody laptop in public. Nor do I want to have to be carrying it around, because it's not as light as the Switch.
Yeah.
So the best I've got is to use my phone, but even the phone doesn't have the processing power I can get from the console. So the Switch is at least it's playable on the go. That is the Switch. You get the Switch because it's playable on the go, and their competitors aren't producing anything playable on the go. I don't know about Microsoft. Have they ever had a portable platform? Because obviously Sony had. Obviously, you had the PSP, and then you obviously the Vita, which is obviously now being decommissioned.
I don't think Microsoft has had one so far.
PlayStation did eventually. They tried making a phone that was a gaming phone, but then they didn't market it as I think it's marketed as PlayStation phone, but then when they actually brought it out, they brought it out and I think it wasn't actually under the PlayStation moniker. So it didn't do very well. But yeah, it was just basically supposed to be like a portable console, but it also has the capability of a phone.
Yeah, I can't imagine that would be successful anyway, to be honest.
The Vita actually had that.
Yeah, the Vita was one of their worst performing consoles.
I don't know why the Vita underperformed. I never got one, so...
I was thinking about getting one and then they decommissioned them, so I thought, there's no point now.
Yeah, I don't know, I mean... From where I'm sitting, it looks like, okay, so it's a kind of like an upgraded version of a PSP.
Yeah.
But it also has the capability to... There was a type that only worked on Wi-Fi, and there was a type that worked on 3G. So you could still use the internet and stuff while you were out, because it was like a phone. It used 3G.
Yeah.
Obviously we're not on 3G now.
No.
And you could send texts and stuff on it, I think. I don't know, but I never actually ended up getting one because when I could afford it, they're decommissioning it, and it's like, well, okay, I guess not then.
Yeah, I do know that you can still use the store on there. I think they've decided to keep that, so you can still buy the games that are on there, but no new games will ever be on there.
Yeah. So what's next?
Dan Houser is in the news. Of course, he's the co-founder of Rockstar, but left last year. And apparently he has decided to go into a new business venture and make a new company called Absurd Ventures and Games. The nature of the business has been listed as ready-made interactive leisure and entertainment software development, so it could be another game studio. However, in February, Houser also registered Absurd Ventures LLC as well as Absurd Ventures and Games LLC, suggesting that the operation may not be limited to the video game industry. There's very limited information on that whole situation at the moment, so we'll have to update you as time goes on.
Yes.
There's a new gameplay bit that's been released for System Shock Remake. Of course, System Shock was originally made in 1994, with a sequel in 1999 by Glass Studios, and the remake is being done by Night Dive Studios.
So, wasn't System Shock made by the same people who made BioShock? Wasn't they made System Shock and then obviously they made BioShock, which were obviously first really good games. So, but it's a different developer this time on System Shock.
It's a different developer doing the remake, yes.
Okay. Well, I mean, personally, I think it looks very similar to... It was very reminiscent of, Prey by Bethesda. I get that kind of feel from it. Also looks kind of like... The style also looks similar to Subnautica. Obviously, it's like Subnautica, but in space. And there's, and then rather than obviously fighting, marine life, you fight... There's, these aliens. And... Will the evil AI make a return? Because that was not in the footage.
We'll have to wait and see then, won't you? It reminded me of Alien Isolation a bit when I was watching it, because obviously you're on a space station, humanoid enemies that you're fighting reminded me of the little robot twats in that Alien Isolation.
The androids.
Yes. Did not like those ones. Then again, I wasn't a huge fan of Alien Isolation anyway.
Yeah. Well, I don't know, a lot of people were. I still haven't actually played it. I own it. I just buy games and just never play them.
Yeah, I've got a huge backlog of games as well. But with Alien Isolation I did play. I think I've got probably 1 or 2 missions left on it to actually do. But it was alright for a while, and then the robots kind of became annoying. and the alien was no longer scary at a certain point because you get a flamethrower and he just runs away.
Yep. Yeah, so it's, yeah.
The threat disappears, essentially.
That's quite common in horror games. It's like with Resident Evil. Oh, it's a horror game. Like, is it? Is it supposed to be horrifying? Because I can just shoot this thing's head off.
Yeah.
I'm not scared of it.
I think Alien Isolation might have worked better if they didn't have the flamethrower.
Yeah, more like, obviously. I don't know, that the storyline in, like, Outlast was, like, amazing. But the horror in that game works because you cannot fight back. It is horrifying.
Yep. You're just a defenseless man. Whereas in Alien Isolation, it's a big scary monster, I've got a flamethrower and I run away. But also, at a certain point, you kind of figure out exactly how the alien works anyway, so combine that with the flamethrower, there's definitely no threat. Dragon Age 4 is also in the news. As a BioWare executive producer, Christian Daly posted on Twitter a new concept art shot from Dragon Age 4 and said, "The team is heads down with a lot of momentum and making great progress. We'll share more when the time is right." So that tells me that it's still very early on in development. So I presume it would be maybe 2 or 3 years before we actually get anything concrete about the gameplay.
Also, that concept art that they've released, like the guy who's in the foreground, who is supposed to be an Antivan Crow, it looks very Final Fantasy. Like, looking at this, I don't think, oh, this is Dragon Age. I think this looks like another Final Fantasy. But then I don't actually think I've played. I don't think they've done a game actually set in Antiva. I don't know where that's supposed to be based on.
I will of course preface that I've never played a Dragon Age game.
I've never finished the Dragon Age game.
I own them all, I just haven't played them yet. They're in my backlog.
Yeah, I own them all. I've played. I'm like the finale of both Origins and and Dragon Age 2. I'm like the finale, and it's just like the problem I have with the finale, the first was like, what ending do I want? What do I want? How do I want this stuff to end? Because then I'll have to start Dragon Age 2 from the beginning, because it carries on what you did in Dragon Age Origins. But obviously, when I first played Dragon Age 2, I hadn't played Origins, so I just got a cookie cutter beginning. But yeah, I want to be able to. I need to finish Dragon Age Origins with an end that I'm satisfied with, and that my character lives, so that they can be in Dragon Age 2. But I've not even started Inquisition.
Apparently that one wasn't a fan favourite, but hopefully Dragon Age 4 will be more successful for them. We also have Doom Eternal in the news as well. ID Software decided to cut the invasion feature from Doom Eternal and replace it with a new horde mode that's PvE instead. And obviously, the invasion mode would have allowed players to invade other players, kind of like in Dark Souls or Bloodborne, so you can fight random players.
Also similar to that death loop that we mentioned, obviously, the sniper works in a similar manner. You invade that person's game, you screw with their game, you leave. They also have that on the Resident Evil 6. Obviously, not like the most beloved Resident Evil, but it also had the invasion feature. You can play as the monsters and kill the player during their playthrough.
Yeah. ID Software says, as many are aware, we intended to release a free invasion mode update for our game. However, the unforeseen consequences of a pandemic and remote work impacted progress of development. For this edition, over time, we have also seen and heard how many of you enjoy the range of gameplay and combat available in the expansions and master levels. With these factors in mind, we've decided to redirect our focus from invasion mode to creating a totally new single-player horde mode. So maybe down the line they'll go back to invasion mode after this horde mode been released, when, they're able to actually work together properly again.
They do also plan another mode, which is like an isometrical battle mode. So it's isometrical, similar to games like, obviously, Dead by Daylight or like Friday the 13th. You'll have obviously one player is Is his name Doomslayer?
Yes.
Yeah, one player's Doomslayer, and then they'll be against 2 demons. I'm going to presume they're not going to be like the little Diddy demons, because then the Doomslayer would easily beat them.
Yeah. Speaking of Dead by Daylight, isn't that free now as well for people?
Yes, Dead by Daylight is currently free. I think I got an email about free all weekend. Currently free, ends on July the 12th. There's also, along with that, there's also a sale on the DLCs and the base game. So basically, if you play it and you enjoy it, there'll be a discount on the DLCs and the base game, which is you get 40% off the base game and the DLCs on Steam, 50% off on the PS5 and PS4. The sale itself ends on the 14th for Steam, 21st for PlayStation, 20th for Xbox, and 13th for Stadia.
A game called Project Relic is in the news. Being developed by Cloud Games, there's only 9 developers in this team. It's set for a release in early 2023 on PlayStation, Xbox, and PC. It's similar to Dark Souls, but it seems to have a lot more fast-paced action than Dark Souls.
Also, the boss fight areas appear to be bigger, and I don't know about Dark Souls, but some of these attacks are very blinding. There's like light that flickers off the guy's weapon. So it appears to have like a brighter feel than Dark Souls. It's not like really gloomy.
Yeah, there's not a huge amount about the game that we know, obviously. More will come as time goes on, but I think I might give it a shot because it's, similar to Dark Souls and I do like Dark Souls, so I'll see how it is when it's available. Kojima has signed a new deal with Xbox. They both signed a letter of intent, and the point of the partnership is to unlock the creativity of Kojima Productions using Microsoft tech, as opposed to greenlighting a specific pitch. So there's no confirmed games at the minute. It's more of a wider project rather than a specific game. So it leads a lot of people to believe that it could be a deal for making exclusives for Microsoft, meaning that we won't see anything for the PlayStation from Kojima anymore. I'm not sure that's how it'll go. We'll have to wait and see.
Well, I mean, obviously it says that it's developing a cloud-based game, so it's not going to be like running off the actual system itself. The game that it says they were making with Microsoft, well, that they were talking about, is reported to be a cloud-based game, so it'll be like running off a external server rather than obviously on your system.
Yeah, so it'll probably be added to Xbox Game Pass.
Yes. I've not read the actual contract myself, but apparently it doesn't lock them out from being able to produce content for other platforms. It's just the fact that he wants to use their resources to make games. Microsoft they've taken a turn to, they don't really care where you play your games as long as obviously you're playing those games. So even Microsoft might help him make games, and those games end up on all platforms, and then everyone's happy.
Yeah, I'm still interested to see what their project will end up being anyway.
Knowing Kojima, something weird.
It'll be something weird, yeah. Something weird that don't make a whole lot of sense. But speaking of Xbox Game Pass, there are some games coming. On the 8th of July, they brought Dragon Quest, Builders 2 and Tropico 6 to the Xbox Game Pass. On the 14th of July, they're going to be bringing Bloodroots and Farming Simulator 19. However, leaving Xbox Game Pass on the 14th of July will be EA Sport, UFC 1 and 2, and on the 15th, Endless Space 2, Downwell and Crosscode.
Do you have Xbox Game Pass?
I don't.
I don't anymore.
I've never had it, but a lot of people seem to be interested in it these days. There's a lot more games coming towards it that people are interested in, so there's a growing interest in Xbox Game Pass.
You can, for £1, you can get the Game Pass and 3 months of it. Whereas normally I think it's like, I think there was on about it being like $15, so, but you can give them like £1 and you get three months of it. if you're first starting, it's not a case of you can just keep paying £1.
Yeah, that's quite a good deal though, considering the amount of games that's available to you.
Yeah, I would definitely recommend at least doing that.
Yeah, give it a try.
Even if you don't pay like the 15 after.
Yeah.
Even if obviously the 15 after is still fairly reasonable because you get a stupid amount of games on that thing.
Yeah, and that's why a lot of people have started taking interest in Xbox Game Pass. But also in the news, we have DICE, who are offering a free copy, a digital PC copy to be specific, of Battlefield 2042 to a particular user who has created a 1-inch screen and decided to play Battlefield 5 on there. And the free copy is only going to be given to him if he can complete a specific challenge on Battlefield 5 on that 1-inch screen. And to do that, he must spell out a word in Morse code, equip specific items and weapons, and chase a gnome. Very random, but there you go. Ubisoft have pulled Magic 10 from Steam because their DRM, they were having issues. It wasn't working for them, so people were able to pirate the game, unfortunately. So they've decided to pull it off the store so they can fix the issue, and then once it's fixed, they'll put it back out again so that they can prevent piracy again for that game. I think that game came out in 2014. Atari have also made the news, as they want to start focusing on premium PC games. Obviously they've been doing free mobile games for a while, but now they've decided they want to focus on PC games, and they said that they'll move away from the mobile free-to-play games in favour of a strong pipeline of premium games for PC.
Do you know what kind of PC games?
No, they haven't specified exactly what PC games are going to be doing yet. But their current mobile offerings include Atari Combat Tank Fury and Ninja Fury, and they will be discontinued or sold, while successful games with a loyal user base will be allowed to strive.
They released Alone in the Dark in 2015 for PC.
Don't think I ever played that one.
I don't think it was well received.
Also in the news, Apex Legends has been hacked, but thankfully the developers have said that nothing of value was stolen. All they gained was ruining a weekend.
Yeah, it says it was hacked to protest the state of Titanfall. Is Titanfall made by the same people who make Apex?
Yes.
Basically, Titanfall is being hacked. Basically, it's an old game. Bunch of hackers are on it, so they can't play Titanfall, and Respawn haven't fixed this issue. But then that's pretty common.
Yeah.
Older games tend to be filled with hackers, and then devs stop supporting that game because it's no longer making the money.
Yeah, that's just how the world works. Someone decided, I don't like my game being hacked, so I'm going to hack another game.
Yeah.
Great logic there.
Well, he doesn't understand the meaning of an eye for an eye makes the whole world blind.
However, in other news, a new vampire game has been delayed. Vampire Masquerade Swansong has been delayed to February of 2022. And that game is set in Boston. It's a choice-based game. It's being developed by Big Bad Wolf Studio, which is a very apt name for your studio with that kind of game.
Vampire the Masquerade Swansong, is that... Because obviously they announced the Masquerade 2 a few years back. Is it now just be with Swansong? Is that the same game or is it a different game? Because the first Vampire the Masquerade it's pretty well received. It doesn't hold up graphically anymore, but yeah.
That's a completely different project and a completely different developer. You're talking about Vampire the Masquerade Bloodlines, which has the sequel Vampire Masquerade Bloodlines 2, which is set to release this year.
But it's the same universe, yes?
I don't know. It's different developers, different projects. Can't say for sure. The Bloodlines one is based around the tabletop role-playing game, Vampire Masquerade, whereas Vampire Masquerade Swansong seems to be a new thing, like their own creation.
But surely using the Vampire the Masquerade license, it must be set in the Vampire the Masquerade universe.
Possibly.
I don't know. I played Bloodlines but never played the actual tabletop game of it. So we have to wait until February next year to be able to get in on that Valentine's Day of draining your partner of their blood. You do that too, right?
Totally. But that's all the news we have for today. So thank you for joining us for episode 2 of the podcast, and we will see you next week.
Goodbye.
Goodbye.